Alright, good afternoon my friends. Brian with VetteSource here today, where we're doing some more teardown work for the weekend. We're actually going to be working on removing the differential from this C5 Corvette. If you hadn't seen the video on this car, this is the C5 Corvette Convertible I rescued out of the country last month. Yeah, it's been about 4 or 5 weeks, and dragged it out of its place where, you know, the best of intentions, somebody was going to try to put this back on the road again. The motor was missing from the car. It's actually not wrecked. It's a complete car without a motor. But what happened with this car was obviously some type of mechanics dispute between the bill and what was paid and what was owed, and the car never got picked up. I don't know the exact details. So this ended up having to become, rather than a builder, a parts car, because with an improperly executed mechanics lien, you can't really get these back on the road again. And I also did another video a few weeks ago talking about the different way I decide between whether a car is going to become a parts car or whether it's going to be a builder. So this one, unfortunately, it's going to have to be a parts car, but that's okay. There's a lot of good stuff on it, and I can actually use it as a method to show you guys some of the removal procedures of some of the stuff and how these C5s come apart. So today what I'm going for is the differential here that is right up in there. You can kind of see it in there. So to get to that differential, I've got to remove this entire rear suspension on the car, which is easier than what it looks like. So it's not going to be too bad to get out of here, but what I'm going to show you guys is our method. Now, I did remove a suspension on a C5. I've got another video of that shows a lot of these attachment points and how they come loose. So I won't get too deep into it right now, but you can see how I do this. How it all comes apart. And of course, right now, what I'm doing is I'm actually removing the mounts for the differential from the bottom onto the crate, so I can get those out of there before it gets put on the ground. And of course, now this one's got everything still connected. The transmission, the torque tube, all that's still there. So I'm not going to go too deep into explanation of these parts here, simply because I've done this before, but I will show you which one out of there. So I just need to catch that lower lip there. So I've got this supported, which I need to get a little bit further out. Hang on just a minute. Okay. Alright, so again, they did make these C5s relatively easy to get the rear suspension, the cradles out, because they knew this is what was required to get these cars torn down. So I'm just taking out our upper controller and bolts right now. Get that disconnected from the frame. I'm dropping tools this morning. Actually got some nice weather today, so that's kind of pleasant to have rather than being cooked alive. You know, I should get I wasn't picking up my 1/2-inch drive with my 13 mil. These bolts do come out pretty easy. There we go. You see that extra material on the end there, kind of as a locator to get that out of there. It's kind of a neat feature they did on these cars. And break this one loose. Once this is out of the way, then I'll be able to get to the 213s on here for that shock mount, or the shock mounts to the chassis, to the unibody here. And again, if you've never seen too, this in here is that hydroformed steel rail that's really, really strong on these cars. If you haven't seen the video I did on that, I'll put a link there at the top so you can see that one. They did a really good job putting these cars together. C5s have what I consider to be the last of the really, really strong, good frames in the cars. Nah, C6s too, but C7s I'm not real thrilled with the frame construction on those. It's kind of the same among all the manufacturers right now. They're using these sectioned aluminum frames and they were built in pieces. I'm not really impressed with them at all. There goes the wind on my camera. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, got that back where we needed it to go, kinda. Alright, so you can see that lower control arm just fell down where we needed it to get out of the way. And I can swing this out. Then we'll come in here. Get this 13 out of the way. This angle here. Like I said, the one thing about the C5s and 6s I really, really like is that method they use to locate these bolts. They're really, the metallurgy they used on these and the method of fastening is really cool, and it makes my life a heck of a lot easier when it comes to dismantling these cars. So we got those 4 bolts out, and then there's really only 2 more bolts left, guys. So, let me get my stack up right here. Alright, so come in, we'll get the back mount bolt out. That's out. And the front one. Oh. And did you saw how that dropped down just like that? So now all we need to do, get the other side out, which is the reversed opposite of this one, and then I'll have it down. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that one out real quick off camera, since it's the same as this one, and I'll be back with you guys in a second once I have it down. Hang tight. Okay, we've got our bolts loose. Let's go ahead and lower this assembly out of here so that we can get access to our differential. Coming down, and you can see that actually moves out of there pretty easy, other than the connections I forgot to take off. Hang on. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay. That one, and let's get our, that would be the ABS sensor there, wheel sensor. That one's disconnected. Let's see here. All right, that one's out. Oh yeah. and the 10mm on each side. Get that out of the way. And we disconnect our keeper here, if I can keep it from turning. Alright, 10mm here. And that one, actually, this one I can take loose there. Take this loose here. That's our body ground, or harness ground right there for that piece. One thing it's always easy to forget, even when I'm doing this, is those parking brake cable attachments. Probably have to do that real quick and then get this finished all the way back down again. There's that connector out, and harness is there. Oh, you know what I can do? Just gotta crawl my head up in here. I forgot. These are right here. If you can see where I'm aiming at here. That is. Let's see if I can do this. You guys are watching me. I'm not sure. This doesn't want to cooperate. Come on, buddy. Work with me here. Not gonna let me get on the head of that. So come up real quick again. So let me grab those and get those off, and I'll show you guys what I'm doing here. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back with our differential assembly where we needed it to be. So this is your entire rear setup for the Corvettes here. And if you're not familiar, the C5 Corvette is the first generation of Corvette that started using the Transaxle setup. So as you can see, instead of a traditional drive shaft there at the front, what we have is what's called a torque tube. It runs to the back to your transmission, which is right here. Your standard transmission is here. And on the standard manual transmission cars, your clutch and everything is still at the front. Your pressure plate and your flywheel, not flywheel, yeah, your flywheel, pressure plate and clutch discs are all at the front still. And well, your pressure plate, your pressure plate, your clutch plate, and everything else you need in there, your throttle bearing, they're all right there at the front so that you can activate, but you still got to take the whole thing apart. And then back here, of course, is your differential, your transmission, and there is your differential. Now the Corvette's standard cars get the Getrag unit with a 342 gear ratio. You can see it stamped several places on the cases. And of course, there's your heavy duty half shafts that control. These half shafts actually remind me of the ones that are in the Tornado, like I featured in the last video I did. So, excuse me. So what I'm gonna do here is, you can see all these pieces are actually just assembled together. There's your diff, there's your transmission, there's your torque tube. So I'm just gonna separate everything and get the piece out. In fact, I'm gonna start off with this one first, because that's the one I need to get to first. So let me get set up here, and I'll be right back in a second once I get this set up. Hang tight. Okay, we're back here with this in a little bit better position for me to get to it. Of course, I managed to make a mess that I'm gonna have to clean up here in a second. But in the meantime, what we're gonna do is remove the 5 retaining bolts that hold this differential in place. There's actually only 5 bolts securing it. There's 1, 2, 3, actually on this nut, 4, and there's one hidden way up underneath here. So you can barely see it where my fingers are at there. And if you miss that one, you can easily do some damage to your differential. So we got one, we've got two. Oh, what a nice breeze today, man. That is a welcome relief from all this heat we've been having. And there's three right here. And that's actually a 13 out of 14, but I'm just using it because it's sitting right here. So let me get my proper tool for this. Trying to get this done before traffic time, guys, because then it gets too loud out here. Alright, there's 4. And there's 5. Alright. Now, the case, in theory, comes off of their differential case. Don't want to hit it too hard. Sometimes when they've been together for a while, they will want to stay together. So what I'm going to do probably is get my handy dandy little screwdriver here. Pry on this real gently so I can see what it does. No gap. There we go. There it is. Okay. So you can see, I didn't really have to put much effort into it. What I'm going to do is set this down so you guys can see. Get my tools out of the way. We're just going to go straight back. Just like that. Tilt that up a little bit so it doesn't leak everywhere. Put these back on there. Okay, so you can see there's that output shaft of the transmission going straight into the front of the differential. So it's definitely a lot different unit than what we're used to seeing in old school cars. So let me see, do I have the right tool on this here? I can probably go ahead and separate the torque tube here. Yeah, actually I do. Hold on. Let me grab my correct fitting here. I'll just go with this one. Oh, no, I don't want to use that one. Okay. Yeah, Friday afternoon. Everybody's getting off work early, if they're even working still. Okay. And over here, we're just gonna work our way around here. Let me set this down so you guys don't have to endure this. One, two. Third one, there's a stud, because that's got the retainer for the transmission harness on it. Let's see, I think I'm gonna have to get that one manually. We'll move ourselves over here. And we will grab these bolts here. 6 out, and I need to get these last 2. So let me grab these real quick, and I'll get right back with you. I'll show you how to separate this case. Well, okay, that most definitely did not want to cooperate, guys. I've just spent the last 30 minutes making sure I didn't break anything while I separated this torque tube from the standard 6-speed transmission here. And you can see this has not been run in a while. You can see the corrosion that built up in there, so it definitely is going to have to be cleaned up. But that's exactly how this transmission looks. So this would be the Corvette Transaxle 6-speed transmission. This is not the Z06 transmission. This would be the base Corvette 6-speed. So there you have it. So that is the whole rear end separated, all 4 pieces: suspension, differential, transmission, torque tube, with the engine and clutch being over there on the front. So I've already kind of surpassed the time I needed to get this done, so I'm into traffic time. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up today's video, and we'll be back in a few days with some other interesting stuff. So thanks again for watching, my friends, and we'll see you next time. Talk to you then.